Okay, I think we're ready to go. You set? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the July meeting of the Madison Board of Police Commissioners. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. For the last few meetings, this is a quiet room here. There a motion to accept the June minutes as written?
Motion to accept the June minutes, June 10th meetings as written.
Any changes, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye. Good. Public comments. We'll entertain very few public comments. Okay, Chief.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. Okay, we'll start with the financials, the budget report. You have the handouts. Just a little side note, approximately $116,000 was returned. Obviously, that's prior to the audit in August. My guess is maybe a little bit more. We raised a little over $100,000 by way of the highway construction, special duty. We charge a premium for the car, we charge the insurances. They budget 35, but it always goes up over approximately 100,000, and then we put back the 35 originally. Sometimes I don't understand that process, but that's how they do it for audit. So we just started the new fiscal year, 25-26. We have the usual upfront cost materials such as pricking, stuff like that. We also have all the the agreements we have for services that are supplied to the police department by vendors. Most of those are due for the first week of July 1st. So those have gone out also. Some are not reflected in this, but it'll take about 30 days for it to catch up. Questions, observations on the finance?
Can we just look at the budget summary? And then piece that, so, you know, I'm playing back the obvious here, but so if we take a step back and say, what's it cost to run the Madison Police Department? Well, you know, there's certainly some significant costs, such as benefit pension that are not totally reflected in here.
That's in the initial, but somewhere between 4 to 5 plus a little over $1.5 million for everything else.
Right, but if you said, okay, I want to run a police department for 18,000 employees, and we're going to get our, which is not a small incident, but we're getting our medical and pension coverage from another source. It's going to take, you know, $4 million and change to run the department. And that does not include a relatively modest, you know, animal control budget. So if we look at this budget summary, about 15%, the 588.73, about 15% of our labor budget, probably a little more than it, took it on total, is 15% of our plus of our labor budget is spent on overtime. So if we could ever, you know, get to the point where we can be fully staffed, we would be able, you know, again, this is not a question to state the obvious, we'd be able to enhance the manpower of this budget still within about, you know, $4 million and add 120 hours of public safety to the regular complement for you to, and your leadership to schedule every week. So it just comes back, when we look at the major part of this budget, our investment is really in the human capital in this budget. I mean, that's, we just, I mean, we've had terrific support with technology, and I think the management, your management of vehicles and has been great. But, you know, you want to create a police department, you know, start out with that labor budget. And you just need to, you know, keep looking at that and make sure, you know, the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen understand, you know, our obsession with officers is because that's where the beef is. No pun intended. That's what makes this department work. We need a lot of support in the way of technology and vehicles and equipment, but this town's investment in the first, you know, caliber police department is in its labor. You know, 3 million bucks that's what we're spending in labor. So, you know, we just, I'm not saying we haven't, but this is where we need to, you know, keep our eye on the ball if we're gonna, you know, have the level of excellence that we really feel we want. So, anyway, but it's a good year-end result. You know, it's always good to finish under budget, and you know, congratulations to you and your leadership team. But it is I know what a challenge it has been, you know, sometimes to make these numbers where they are and say, oh, brackets are good, you know, when you look at the bottom of the budget. So, anyway.
It would be wonderful not to have to backfill positions.
Yeah.
We seem to have had, it's almost every year for the last 8 years, we've been backfilling positions. I'd love for us to get to full complement of officers. We're still gonna have some overtime in regards to
Oh, sure, you're never gonna get rid of it, but.
contractual daily leaves, things to that effect. But I would love to have the ability to do all these special programs that people want, where we touch on a little bit of overtime. You know, right now, we're gonna be sending officers more to the surf club at night because of some issues there, besides the regular patrols. That's overtime. You know, it's gonna enhance the quality of life of people that are there trying to enjoy themselves and not have to be harassed by people. Some people there maybe had too much to drink, and they shouldn't be drinking. So, I would love to get that point. I think Sunday we will.
Yeah, well, we just have to have the appropriate audience hear our mantra that says that 588 is an expense. We can convert that to an asset by bringing more officers online. Now that, spending the same dollars, but now it's an investment because you're getting the experience, you know, the training, the service level, instead of just saying, you know, we want to pay the premium to overtimes. And I think you're absolutely right, absolutely accept. We're always going to have overtime. Matter of fact, some weeks, months, you're going to have significant overtime. But, you know, we should continue our efforts to say, yeah, that's not how we want to live.
So I'll end it on this note. So at the end of the month, we have our two candidates that are in the academy graduating. They haven't told us their rankings yet, but they're both in 95th percentile group, which is a good sign. So Christopher Russo and Alexander Raccio will be joining us then. 17-week period of FTO and training, further training, but that's putting 2 officers in a car with the FTO, so that's additional people on patrol. Sometimes you wait, good things happen. A young lad by the name of Owen Dunn, who was a hand graduate, worked at Hammond Acid, worked at the surf club, went to school, and he decided to join the police force not far from there. He was a Charleston officer for the last 4.5 years. I know his dad, who was the ASAP for the Secret Service, lives here in town, Derek Dunn. He's made an application with us, and we quickly moved on it. I have to do a comparative certification for him, so it's going to take a little longer. So we're scheduling all the tests for him, and we're doing the comparative right now. The final phase for him is to have an interview with you folks. Okay, so we're moving ahead with him. Certified officer, grew up in Madison, hand graduate, knows the area. So I think once we get approval to put him on the road, if you folks deem to hire him, pending your interview, we'll have another body in the road in about 3 weeks.
Be great, that'd be terrific. Love
In a
it.
situation like that, Chief, what kind of time period do you predict with as an FTO or with a ride-along? How does that work?
Well, it would be in short order. It'd be maybe 2 weeks with an FTO, learning our process versus Charleston PD in South Carolina.
Okay.
As far as comparative analysis to what they trained in, I feel like Jeremy and I are doing an audit right now. We're looking at what they're telling us at post here, and then I'm looking at what they supply from post in Charleston in South Carolina. So a lot of it's similar. He has to, I think where he's gonna have to, the challenge is he's get caught up to the mandated laws that we have to comply with, he has to not comply with. It was different in South Carolina, similar but not the same. So I think he'll be on his own probably by the mid-August, hopefully.
And will he be living in Madison, do you know?
Well, he's probably moving home.
Okay.
I wasn't on the initial interview.
How much experience does he have? About?
About 5 years, 4.5.
Nice, good.
In his prime.
So he wanted to come home. I remember him from the Surf Club. I remember when he was a ranger at Hammonasset. Good kid.
Good.
So,
Good find.
so we had 2 other interviews also, but not quite, just not what we expect here from Madison. Although they had a nice, good background education-wise. There was another exam given recently. We had 5 candidates that received the statewide. They also do a statewide candidate, 106 statewide. That's it. So we're gonna keep pushing. School's starting soon. We'll be on the college campuses. We still have to fill 3 positions. You know, the January position, the 26, and the 2 that we have open currently it was 3, of course, Owen will fill that 3rd spot. So we'll go into, at the end of the summer, seeking 2. And then January to 3rd. So we find laterals like that, young lad, that would be great.
Have you asked him if he has anybody you'd like to bring along?
I haven't asked that question.
Who can you bring?
So,
Okay. Quarterly statistics.
okay, you have the handout for the last quarter. You read it. If you'd like me to read through each one, I will, but you tell me we're good. Any questions, certain areas?
These are define what would be helpful, and maybe it's a matter of just planning it. But if we could put in the note in the minutes, it would be helpful for me, anyway, to say, okay, here's April to June. Could we have the full year statistics, so we could say, okay, for this fiscal year, you know, here's the total number of motor vehicle accidents they have. It'd be interesting to see how a quarter compares.
Versus last year?
Yeah, versus last year.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, as we go into the summer months, usually increases.
Yeah.
So, well, certainly our example of dog bites, instance with canine complaints. Generally, as it gets warmer, they increase.
okay,
I'll make a note for that.
thank you. Okay, training.
In the training budget, we have, most of this was post-required for the cycle of research for Madison. It's 252 hours of training, domestic violence, firearms, collect, and CIC recertification, the monthly response team training. Again, the total is 252. All those are mandated with the exception of the training for the response team is mandated, but it's a separate issue from the post. So all those are training our people to their certification, those that are in that cycle for the 3 years. Traffic report. June, responded to a total of 31 motor vehicle accidents, 6 resulted in injuries, 13 were property damage, 6 occurred on private property. Additional 5 of these involved the party evading responsibility. That seems to be increasing. And quite frankly, the cameras we have out there have helped us greatly in apprehending the people that evaded.
Could you expand on that a little bit? I I make this a lengthy meeting, but, you know, just the traffic camera update in terms of, we've had them in for 15 months, not even 12 months?
Probably a year, solid.
Uh, What about Guilford and Clinton? Have they installed something, I'm talking about the
I can't
license
speak to
years.
Guilford. Clinton's are limited, but they're coming online now. They're in the middle of finishing up a very large, expensive radio upgrade, so the cameras, they went with flock cameras, we're different with Record. However, we've worked in conjunction with those, we share the information on our system with them. Also 6 other communities, including David. So it's like last night they had someone was going through the cars in Brantford and into the Guilford line on the east end of Guilford. Information came out, we had the hits on the cameras. Then the same people were in Madison. And then these folks, they were going through cars by the senior center. And so then officers came on them, and then they jumped on a highway, lost them on the highway, meaning we're not going to engage in a high-speed pursuit. They went to Westbrook, Clinton, then Westbrook back to Clinton. Now, I'm home, it's about 8-something, and my Ring camera is all the neighbors reporting people going through their cars. So I'm gearing up for entertainment. My wife's like, please. But they ended up crashing the cars. They fled on foot, and they weren't able to capture them. But I think if we can get DNA and stuff from the cars, if we're fortunate enough, we may be able to identify them. We've been successful with that in the past. Because when they have a car and they run with it, sometimes 2 or 3 days, somebody touches something.
How does this summer stack up to last summer for
Oh
the
gosh,
cars?
we're way ahead. I mean, we're less,
We're
much less.
good, yeah, because I don't
Last
seem to
2
hear
years
as much
by,
as,
much less.
as much.
Which is nice.
When this happened, I said, wow, they've been very quiet for a while, so. Maybe somebody did some time, maybe somebody was in juvenile detention, somebody was traveling, I don't know. But generally the gangs are, right now most of the problems going toward the city is the street takeovers. So, and a lot of those folks are participants in that, because in the street takeovers also stolen vehicles participating.
Yeah, good. That's a real problem I've got up in Hartford.
Hartford, New Haven, Meriden, generally it's within the culture and the infrastructure of the gangs.
Can I ask about this fatal accident? I didn't hear about that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The one in front of Donahue's.
Was it Donahue?
The woman pulled out, a car was coming from Hammond Acid, and subsequently she pulled out in front of it. One was 97 years old, car was 27 years old, it was a standard. Very unfortunate, she went to the hospital, they were doing surgery, she passed her surgery. Still under investigation. Evidence at the scene, her car, also the car that hit her. That's a newer truck, so we're able to download information on that through search warrants, which we've done already.
Was she in Madison?
Pardon?
Was she a local?
She was from
person?
Guilford, but she'd have dinner, lunch once a week at Donahue's. So yeah, Pat Donahue was very much upset about that. He did come to talk, came to the town hall to talk about when are they going to see the additional infrastructure changes there. And that's changed somewhat. It's been put in I wouldn't say the left lane, but it's going a lot faster now because of development there. I did have a meeting with DOT on site on Route 1 and 2 different locations, so they're moving it up. They're definitely going to do the crosswalks. We're going to reduce the speed there to 35, because originally it's 45 in that area, it's going down to 35. They're going to put the crosswalk back by Cottage Road because of the additional developments. Interesting enough, the development that's there, the housing that's put behind Cohen's Bagels, that's everything I said would be as far as increased calls for service, from domestics to emergency response.
Cottage is the farther entrance, not the Dunkin' Donuts side, but the
Well,
down.
we're going to do. I met with the folks from Windermere, and I told them that we're going to do some changes there. One of them is I'm still waiting for I have basically 10 speed cameras coming on a grant. I'm going to put one in that location, and we're going to. Clinton is going to do it from their side. We're going to slow the traffic down there, mark the road also with the road markings. So that's going to help. But and they're also, what I just found out is apparently they're gonna put sidewalks through there. It's part of the DOT, the grant, in other areas of town.
That's great.
Similar to Project Guilford did when you go down towards the green into Guilford, it's like that.
Nice. Thank
So
you.
I think that's gonna help a lot. We've increased, well, certainly the enforcement there.
Can I ask you to give some thought and maybe come back to the commission here at the next meeting, but give some thought in terms of how you might present public safety record and result to the Board of Selectmen for the fiscal year. And from an educational point of view, you know, you have an extraordinary amount of information in your head, and you know, if we ask a question, we get the answer. But just like, here's the impact of the cameras, here's how it relates to it. And if you gave some thought, so that,
Well, it's an error.
yeah, thank you. So that, and I would urge that be the kind of meeting or presentation that we, the commission, would attempt to support you, that if you gave this presentation to the Board of Selectmen, and there are other members of the public there, but certainly to the Board of Selectmen, that said, here's the impact of the cameras we requested 2 years ago. Here's how they're functioning, and here's how it relates to the communities, and here are some examples of the positive impact this investment has made. Here's how we've utilized the investment in the speed calming cameras that we're approved for. Here's how we introduced a presence and a footprint of officers, bike officers, motorcycle officers during the high visitor months. One of the things, you know, I think would be helpful to avoid is the only time the Board of Selectmen kind of hear from us is when we need something, as opposed to, hey, this is a critical element of the quality of life in this community. I know you meet on a regular basis with Peggy and you share information and she's aware, but Peggy is one of 5 selectmen. And so I think the ability to educate that, and you know, not go through the car went off the road and hit this tree, but to give them a sense of, here's public safety life over the last 12 months that we deal with, and you and your officers deal with. And I'm sure I've left out some things that you think would want to add. Here's the impact of this MSW. Here are the number of clients she sees. And, you know, remind them, hey, you know, we don't come to you every time, you know, there's a kind of a significant tragic event, but we deal with serious accidents. Here's the number of serious accidents we've had over the last 12 months. You know, anyway, give it some thought in terms of how you might put it together. Give us a chance to, God forbid, get our fingerprints on it and, you know, have some reaction or input into how you and your captains might want to present it. But I think listening to it, just don't underestimate the impact that, you know, you have in terms of what's part of your daily life, but unless somebody grabs a first selectman, maybe and come with a complaint, maybe they aren't aware.
I think I always try to tell the story.
Yeah.
And you've been in some of those meetings. When we do our budget, I generally give them a synopsis of the year. I explain it out, I use the color copier, and I submit it to them with great detail. However, telling the story is, I mean, I find, and especially when we talk to people, I had 3 conversations with people during fireworks, just in between, people that went there waiting, they walk up to the officer, and so did my other officers, because they brought it up to me. A lot of people, they're trying to understand what we do. They know we're busy, but they're trying to understand, like, okay, so if you go to a medical, like, what does that encounter? Or a domestic, you know? When you tell people we're going with a defib and oxygen, and we could be dismissed right away, if the medic's there, or maybe not. We end up on the floor doing CPR with them. Domestic always takes 2. Somebody with a violence, going to a home for a complaint where there's guns in the house. We know that from our premise file. On July Day, there's almost 50,000 cars that go up and down Route 1 and Hammonasset Connector. In October, I think it was the 29th, they did the last study, there's over 20,000. There's 15,000 across into Clinton. So I think a lot of people don't realize, some might think we're some Smokies, quiet little, no, it's busy. And everything requires, with mandates and what the reporting requirement is, it takes a lot of stuff out in the field, and then a lot of stuff behind, in the back of the house, so to speak, that we have to complete to bring that to closure. The MSW, using that as an example, that's been fantastic. That young lady is overwhelmed with the calls she has for service, but she's doing a great job, she loves what she does, and I hope she stays with us. I always try to explain out what's the perfect world for Madison, Jack. I would love to have a traffic squad. I'm not talking a bunch of people, I'm talking one that I could do those special requests that come into us monthly. That could you run radar on this road? Can you stop sign they keep going through? Things like that. I'm able to do that and not affect the assets that are dedicated to responding to calls. Because that's our problem. We have 3 to 5. 5 is wonderful, but we don't always have 5 on a shift. We're able to respond to everybody's wish, the complaints, and whatever the wish may be, which is the occasional. The regional resources we use are fantastic. That always strikes home. People see all the different cars, and they're doing that. I would love to have it so that my bureau is very strong. Probably one of the strongest, if not one of the stronger, if not the strongest in the region. That's the CID. It does phenomenal things. The commercial burglaries that were from Massachusetts down to the Shoreline, Connecticut, we're the ones that came up with the DNA. We identified the guy in Massachusetts. So, and who went through the the record cameras 3 times that night. You know?
I mean.
Too much detail?
No. That's a good example of, let me put it in the 6 bullet points, and it goes with, you know, certain dimensions of what you do. But, you know, you mentioned MSW.
A lot of people don't realize that. You're correct.
Yeah. So anyway, give it some thought. Give us a chance to, maybe if you think it might be helpful, give us a chance to do the off-Broadway review here in August. As I said, I think if we do it, you know, September or so, I think it's still kind of timely, because you're talking about what a lot of people feel is this summer. But anyway, give it some thought.
State of the Union.
Yeah.
Sort of our State of the Union.
Yeah. And say.
Get ready, Al.
Bad one? There you go.
Ding, ding.
I'll do my best, Henry Clay.
Okay. Recruitment, you kind of touch base.
We touch base on that.
Community calendar.
You have it, I added one that wasn't there, and it's that we have the tour to Shoreline for Vista, which I want to say is October 5th.
So is that new?
No, they do it every year. It originates in Westbrook. They have it as 5 miles, 10 miles, 25 miles, 50, 65. And that's the breakdown. Hold on here, I have it here. Yes, it is the 5th. Tour de Shore, Vista. Generally, the leg that is in the town of Madison is limited as those doing the 50 plus. It's a fundraiser for Vista. But we're looking at the Beachcomber Nights being expanded.
2 streets again?
Yes,
Oh, I
yes,
love
it's
it.
gonna,
last
Dawn
year
Jackson
it
does
was
one heck of
fun.
a job, she really does, but they're even talking about maybe closing, you close the road and put a band there, and
On Wall Street.
and there's gonna be, I guess, a lot more food vendors.
Good.
So it's gonna be quite a nice thing for downtown. So that's on for the 14th. Close to the free ride every year. That's Smile Cancer. That's a highly attended event. Madison Pride is the 13th. That's going to be on the green in downtown. The Chamber of Commerce is going to, we have Trunk or Treat, which of course we've done that every year since the big storms, holiday parade and the turkey trot. There may be some other additional, there's some smaller groups trying to get in. It's hard for me to accommodate that. And you know, that I'm not trying to be mean-spirited, it's hard to do. For 150, 200 people, you're shutting rows. I gotta bring in a lot of personalities. So, but that's what we have for events scheduled so far. We did make it through the parade, the fireworks, the concert, all highly attended. I would say the fireworks probably weren't as many as other years, just when they're on weekends. However, the parade, I think, was probably the highest attended we've seen in a while, a little bit longer. A lot of folks, a beautiful day. And the concert equally was packed. People had a great time. 0 events. I think staging the personnel that we do, I think staging the use of the public works trucks, blocking the roads for, you know, keep people in a safe environment, it works. If people are confident and safe, and they come down.
Okay. Regional shared services.
The only thing I got to notice today, they're scheduling a meeting on regional services, and they're trying to get it for next week. I said I'm not out of town that day, so we're going to do it the first week of August. I'm waiting for the date, and Mr. Chairman, I'm going to let you know so you can accompany me there.
Okay. I had a discussion with First Selectman Peg about dusting off the letter that we drafted to ask Valley Shore if they would like to have some preliminary discussion just to see if there's any interest in exploring it. She mentioned, Al, that it was going to be on the Board of Selectmen agenda in July the 21st. I'll confirm that. And if it is, I'll let people know here if they would.
Please join us. Yeah.
Attend, but it is, it's racing down the mountainside with the speed of a glacier. So we'll get there. Correspondence. There was some.
I had a couple emails, but I'm going to put them in for next month.
Okay.
Right now, I'm sorry, I'll wait to get the traffic.
Okay, I think we did traffic.
Yeah, they're related to traffic issues. And right now, the project we have going is we have to get the school, the new school, all the signage, stop signs, which is a four-way stop at the top of the ramp. There's going to be 2 additional speed signs coming from the west, going east on Green Hill, where they come from. You go through the intersection of Nortontown, they pick up speed. I need to slow them down there. At that intersection of Green Hill and Mungertown, you might recall we had a serious accident where the person was seriously injured. The second one was the woman in a coma. The third one was fatal. So they've trimmed back some of those trees. We're going to put a 4-way stop in there. We're going to put the devices before to slow people down, to make them aware. In front of the school, they're going to be putting, as you see in the other schools, they're large, they're run by power and by solar. They put different messages when the school is in session, commuting hour to school, and after school. There'll be more additional road markings. I have to make it so that the buses can make a right-hand turn from coming out of Mungertown onto Green Hill to go back to the main campus. So that's going to take a little ingenuity in how we place the signs in the stop bar, and if people stop at the stop bar, it won't be a problem. If they don't, it won't be a problem. But we're going to try and get that all completed before the second week of August.
That is going to be a real focus. You know, you're going to have all the. I'm just acknowledging all the things that you've informed me about. But just to have that, a whole set of very anxious parents saying, I gotta figure out where to stop, how to stop. And so, I know you're working closely with the town engineer on it, but if we can expect some attendees at the September meeting, almost regardless, because we're gonna have people with suggestions or frustrations or annoyance. I mean, it's just a whole new, you know, driving pattern, and I've got my loved ones in the back, and I want it to be absolutely perfect, so it's gonna be a heck of a.
It's gonna be a culture change from what they're used to on that road. We're gonna enforce it the best we can, we'll use it against them, by through again, gonna put them in that area. The patrol does one heck of a job on responding to people looking for special enforcement where we can.
Well, it's, I acknowledge you got a hell of a challenge in front of you, and everyone is gonna be saying, it's that police department.
Well, being caught out there, I kept asking the question, when are you gonna do this? School's 10 weeks away, school's now, what, 9 weeks away, it'll be 8 weeks away, and we have to get this done. So I went out with Rob Russo, and we started the process, and I spoke to the folks from, that are involved with Collier, Peter Anderson, the town building, he's on board. I met with them yesterday and discussed it. So my goal is to get this stuff in place where we can, town-wide, meaning it's Public Works putting whatever signs they could for their engineering, and whatever vendor. I think he told the school building committee that you have to get their vendor ready, which would be Munger Construction, to put the ones in the front, which are a little more heavier construction. So we can get this done. They said it has to be done 4 weeks before school starts so that we can get people used to it. So.
Here. I mean, almost no matter what you do, there's somebody who's going to, you know, be trying to get oriented to it. So I think your timing is spot on. Okay. Old business, is there any old business we need to cover here? Okay. Look, we're racing through it. Commissioner comments?
No, sir?
Michael?
None from me.
None, just except to say good job on the 4th of July weekend. It was crazy
a great
busy in
weekend.
town, but everything seemed to go really smoothly. I got caught in the Hammond Asset coming down the connector. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, it was because of the trees that were down. So anyway, I went around, but it was slow, but it was orderly, and it was great. So well done. I know
Thank
how
you.
hard you guys worked that
Thank you.
weekend,
Yeah.
especially. It's your
Well,
biggest
I work with
weekend.
great people.
You could tell. It was calm and orderly, so thank you.
I did the same thing going home. I thought, I was like, everybody's trying to go up on 79, I'll go home up the connector, and, because nobody was going that way, and I was on the connector for quite some time.
Yeah, me too. I was probably with you, but it was very orderly on the post road.
Yes.
It was orderly downtown, the parade, everything, so.
It was great.
Yeah, shout out
A
to
lot
everybody.
of elected officials are hoping elected officials in that parade.
Yeah. Let's
That
see.
time of the year.
Okay, good. I think we covered it. I think you're on target with, certainly this new school opening is going to take a lot of
Yes.
resources, including behind the scenes resources. So good luck with.
I just want to add something I made, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
Okay, I use that phrase all the time. I work with great people. And when we were talking about what we do here in town, I think if you did a comparative analysis to other communities, there's about 26 in the state of Connecticut that are very somewhat equal. Horseshoe's close. But look at what they expend on the officers on the road, what they expend on programs within the town. Some things we surpass them, some things we'd love to do what they do. I know there's a CBA discussion going on right now for an agreement, but I just wanted from my own personals, that these folks work very hard and think they earn everything we can give them, and we have to do everything we can to retain them. It's very important. I know there's other departments that we're challenged by. North Haven's one, Middletown, what they offer, where they are pay-wise. I just hope that they come out of this at least equal to North Haven or one of those towns and what the compensation is for the pension, and that they could know that we support them. And I know that you do, but I'm saying is that I just want the public to know that they work very hard. They do more with less. I'm very proud and I'm very blessed that I work with great people.
Good, thank you. We're going to have a very brief, executive session. So is there a motion to adjourn to move to executive session?
Motion to adjourn now at whatever time it is. I don't know why.
10:10.
6:10.
6:10.
6:10, great.
Okay.
Okay.